That was the other thing. Well, just think of this idea and throw it out to the universe, and it's just going to happen. Just keep thinking about this idea. I don't know where they come up with this BS. It doesn't work that way. Hey, everybody, this is George Dubec, the Ultimate Networker, and I am a serious expert in business and social networking. That's my claim to fame. I connect people, places, and projects, and people call me the Ultimate Networker. So that's me, George Dubec. I'm here. I'm here with Kellen. We're here to relay all kinds of great information and speak to the world and change the world, make things better. That's what we're all about.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you guys are in for a treat. And I'm going to say, I think Alan Weiss might have been the last person who is going to give you that same type of impact that Sir George Dubec can give. He's an author. He is the ultimate networker, and I say that not just because he put it in a book that you can get on Amazon. Links will be in the description for everything he's doing, but he's a Google search away, a Chat GPT search away. But George is really like, I consider myself like being out there and getting, to the people, but he's doing it every night. One, because he has mastered it. Two, he doesn't have any little kids he has to take care of and go get their hair done and all that.
That's right. Well, wait a minute, though. You forgot my granddaughter, my 3-year-old granddaughter, Stella.
Yeah, but you can always give the grandkids back, right? Like you don't have to.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's the best.
George, you have, and I have to keep talking about you because your wisdom. He showed me a clip of him. He was on the Sally Jesse Raphael, not in the audience, but on the stage. And I remember watching those shows. Like, the knowledge that he has will not be done in one episode, you guys. But he has his own things. Links will be in the description. But George, you do this. I need to know. You don't do it just alone. There's a lot of guys out there online saying how to get a woman or go overseas and get a woman, which I have a woman who's an immigrant. I believe your wife is an immigrant too, but you've done it much longer than I. I'm only 17 years in the game, married. How have you done it together? Like, how has that journey been?
Well, just to give some background history, yes, I was on a Sally Jesse Raphael show with my wife. We've been married 45 years. She's actually my second wife. I got married very young at 19. I got a young girl pregnant back in high school, and we got married and had 2 kids. And then we got caught up in the disco days back in the late 70s, which was the start of the casual sex revolution. And a lot of things happened, weird circumstances happened, and I wound up getting divorced. And then I became a disco king back in 1975 to 79. In that era, I had a 3-piece white suit, black shirt, gold chains. I had a Smokey and a Bandit Firebird, and I was the cat's meow. Remember that phrase, the cat's meow? That
Yeah.
was me, man. If you watch the movie Saturday Night Fever, that was my life. I had that suit. I walked into clubs and all the girls ran over to me. And when Boogie Oogie Oogie came on, they all wanted to dance with, and I wasn't the ultimate networker at the time. I was the ultimate player. That's what I was back in the day.
But you were drug free, and George he doesn't drink alcohol, doesn't taste it. There might be some magic in that. I can't tell you because I've had alcohol, but I want to just make it clear in those times because everyone thinks, oh, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but you've been able to do this drug free. I got that correct?
Yes, you got that right. My big thing was I was a dancer back in the day. I learned how to dance because I found out that women, out of anything at the clubs, love to dance. So that's what I did. When I walked in a club, all the girls would run up to me and say, "Hey, George, when this song comes on, will you dance with me?" And so it was almost like I had a dance card. So when a certain song came on, I had to go dance with that girl. Now, see, all the guys, though, they looked at me and they said, "Man, George is having sex with all those girls." They realized I was just dancing with them. Okay.
Now, with being, I mean, that's like networking because you have to go up to somebody. This is back in the day when you actually had to go ask somebody. They don't do that, I hear now, because they're all at the strip club, is what I've heard. I don't know. And they're like, you know, you had to ask someone, do you want to dance? Or someone's asking you, and that's part of networking. But when did it start where you were the ultimate networker? How many years or decades did that take?
Well, that's why I wrote the book because, Kellen, I started working at General Motors in corporate back in 1967. So you can honestly say that's when kind of everything started. Of course, I got divorced in the late 70s, but I learned how to do corporate networking. Then I learned how to do social networking at the clubs. Back in the day, I wasn't calling myself the ultimate networker, but I was learning the skills. And of course, one of the big um, strategies we used to use, me and my buddies, was wingman before they called it a wingman. Remember the wingman concept?
Yeah.
We'd go into clubs and there'd be two or three guys, and we'd say, okay, look, go out there and find some good women and let's introduce each other to the girls we meet. So we would take turns, and I'd ask my buddy, which girl do you like in the club? And he would pick out a girl, and I would walk over and I'd introduce myself and say, hey, my buddy thinks you're attractive. And I'd point over to my buddy. And if they were interested in my buddy, I'd bring the girl over and introduce the girl. So we did the whole wingman thing. And I said to myself, this is great. It was much better than me trying to go over myself and meeting the girl. I had my representative meet the girl. So that was great. So I learned that strategy early on. And then, of course, later on in life, I retired, not retired from General Motors. I bought my job out back in 1985 and I moved to Florida from Ohio. And then I got involved in my own business. I ran my own business. Then I got involved in network marketing, which is another form of networking. And then, of course, as life developed and people in this country started moving away from each other, that's what's happening in the United States. More and more people are separating from their original tribe, right? I mean, listen, Kellen, when I grew up, within a 5 mile radius was aunts, uncles, cousins, nephews. We must have had, we'd have a summer picnic. We'd have 100 people show up for a lamb roast in the summer. But everybody moved away. Everybody went because of jobs or college or whatever. Everybody started moving to other parts of the country. Like I moved from Ohio to Florida, and my family's still in Indianapolis, Ohio, different parts of Ohio. We're all separated. So I started to learn how to network in your own family to create like a community in your family because everybody's separated. So again, learning social networking skills, learning business networking skills. I just did so many different things that I said, you know what? I'm going to write a book. So back in 2019, I wrote 6 books, all on business and social networking. And I figured I'll leave kind of a legacy to everybody that comes after me.
Hello, everyone. Come along with London and Sydney as they show you around the vibrant country of Cameroon. We explore the heart of Africa through the eyes of London and Sydney. 2 explorers who journey across the great city of Yaoundé, exploring its rich culture, vibrant market squares, cultural heritage, and wildlife. With giggles and excitement, London and Sydney Explore Cameroon takes you on a fun-filled adventure, providing insight into the country's culture and traditions through the pages of this book. It's packed with exciting stories and super cool facts about Cameroon that will make you go, wow. Get your copy now, available on Amazon and in libraries near you. There's only one easy way to experience the exploration of Cameroon, and it's through London and Sydney. Don't wait, get yours.
When did you see the change where even when I grew up, I was born in 81 and both my grandparents on both sides had canned like peaches or canned food. They had lived through some rough times, and everybody, like you said, you know, like our church had one pew full if sometimes two, if everybody, who was going to go to church went. When did you see that change? What year? And do you know the reason why? Like, because that's not just in your family, that's in my family. And I was all the way in California.
Yeah, well, what happened is it was the 70s was a big major shift. That was the era of do your own thing. You ever hear that phrase, do your own
Mhm.
thing?
Yeah.
Well, when I was in the 70s, that was huge. Everybody was into, going your own way, go away to college. Like what made anybody go away to college? I can't figure that out. They said, learn how to be independent. Why do we want to be independent? I don't understand that. Now that I'm older, I'm going, why did they want you to be independent? You should be supported by your family. The hell with that being independent. And then back in the day in the 70s, that was the big era of the motivational speakers. Remember that? When
Yeah.
the big book at the time in the 70s was Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. That was one of the famous original motivational books, they call it. And then all of a sudden, all these motivational speakers popped up. Like the big one was Anthony Robbins. He's still around. But Napoleon Hill's big theme was anything that you can think, you can achieve if you believe. Okay. That was his phrase. But he never said that you need a ton of people to make your dream come true. And the problem is they used to sell everybody a bill of goods that you can do it on your own. And then even not too long ago, I think it was about 20 years ago, remember the movie The Secret?
Yeah.
That was the other thing. Well, just think of this idea and throw it out to the universe, and it's just going to happen. Just keep thinking about this idea. I don't know where they come up with this BS. It doesn't work that way. You need money, you need people, you need resources, you need support. You need a group of people. Nobody makes it on their own. But yet we still revere that idea like, oh, they're a self-made millionaire. No, they're not. Nobody's a self-made millionaire. So that's when everything started falling apart. Everybody thought they could do it on their own. And they forgot that they need that support group. So,
Well, now you have people saying, you can make six figures, $1 million with your own AI agency using AI. Where do you see, this wave going? It doesn't seem like it's going to get any better soon.
well, that's the other thing that's fascinating to me, Kellen, is all the books that were written back in those days, all the motivational books and the books on self-made millionaires and all this other stuff, and even the books that I wrote in in 2019, those books are outdated already. You know that my book, How to Be an Ultimate Networker, if I wrote it today, it would be 50% different than the way I wrote it in 2019. You remember that famous book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't apply anymore. That doesn't work. You can't win friends and influence people no more. People don't care. What happens today is the most successful people make the most noise. Okay, it's about making noise, having people watch you. It doesn't matter whether it's good press or bad press. It doesn't matter what you say or do. It doesn't matter if you're a criminal, a crook. You could be a serial killer. You could be a rapist. And if you make a lot of noise and people watch you, you're going to be successful and make a lot of money.
Wow.
And
Wow.
my favorite story, and I know you know this story. How about the Haktua girl?
Yeah. Yeah.
She had 15 seconds. She was worked at a bar somewhere in the Midwest. Some young girl that's kind of a bimbo, a dummy. And she had 15 seconds on a camera talking about her Haktua thing, and she became famous.
Are you a successful entrepreneur or one in training? You've got the vision, but do you have the right partner to build your brand, your team, and your future online and off? At CPRfirm.com, we offer expert consulting, financial guidance, and life coaching because we believe in doing life with our clients. After all, what is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Founded by Callan Cash Coleman, we help our clients not only succeed, but plan to retire rich. Your business deserves the best. Start building your legacy today at cprfirm.com.
And she got people to go give her access to technology and things she didn't even know how it worked. So now we see that she is infamous and, possibly, I think she's going to jail,
Well, yeah, but actually she'll probably be, if she goes to jail, she'll even be more successful.
But to go to like Zig Ziglar, right? And he says you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start. And so in her mind, she might have heard a quote like that or someone who motivated her and say, I can just start without knowing anything what I'm talking about. We're really living in the back of that book my grandmother had on her coffee table.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad because back in the day, you used to have credibility, okay? You used to have to build credibility over time, and people would revere and they would look up your credibility as to who is this person? What have they accomplished? Why would I want to talk to this person? Now they don't care. It doesn't matter. Look somebody up on Google. Again, who cares? As long as today you're making noise and you're willing to watch me, then I'm successful. That's it. So if I can, how about all these? Another one of my favorites is there's some guy. I mean, social media is full of weird stuff, but this one is Daddy Dances. It's some guy that's about my age with white hair, and he has a big mansion, and he keeps posting these songs, these pop songs that he dances to. He's a horrible dancer, can't even dance, but he's got thousands of followers. He just posts up every day. Him and his wife, they get on and they do like a Donald Trump dance, like this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's got thousands of viewers, and I'm going, who's watching this guy? It doesn't make sense. So all the logic and the credibility is out the window, and it scares me because I don't understand. I'll tell you what, Kellen, I feel like an alien living in this world today. I really do. I don't understand it. Makes no sense.
Well, and you said something. Just because he has a big house, and I've had people tell me, Kellen, we can put you in the airplane. We can put you in the luxury car here in South Florida, $1,000. I am not a fraud. I'm not wearing this hat because I thought it was fashionable and it looked good when we were in Korea and Japan. I'm wearing it because it's cold right now, people in South Florida. And I'm too loud to be in the house when my kids are trying to do their homeschool. My wife is working on the other side of the house, and this is the best lighting I'm going to get. But a lot of people are trying to be somebody they're not. One thing I really appreciate about even the short term that we've known each other is, one, you're very helpful. You want to, like myself, be able to give even before you receive, but also that you said something, and I'll probably never forget it. And it's because of who you are and how you said it. But you said, I'm not giving advice anymore. People don't want to listen. Where the heck did people not want to listen to the elders who have already been where we want to go? I want to get to your age. I have to say, George, what are you eating? George, what are you doing? George has muscle, y'all. Go to his Instagram. You'll see it. What is this where people are leaning on their own understanding? When did this start, or has it always been like this?
No, it's definitely been a big change. Just to share another thing that's happening in today's world. My daughter is 32 years old, and she recently got married, and she has a baby. And her husband hang around middle-aged couples, like probably in their 30s. Okay, these are couples that have kids. They all have young kids. They all hang out. So recently, I went to an event. They invited me to come over when all their friends were all hanging out, and this, I think, was before Christmas. And so you had all these middle-aged young people sitting around in the living room, and the kids were playing outside. So I walk in. They introduced me. I sat down at the on the couch with all these middle-aged people sitting around, and not one person, after they introduced me, not one person asked me a question. I mean, I'm this guy that has all this knowledge. I've written books. I've been on national TV. I had my own radio show. I sat there, and not one person looked over at me and said, well, Mr. Dubec, what do you think about the weather? Or what do you think about politics? Nothing. And I'm going, oh my God. I got this experience and knowledge, and these people don't even acknowledge me. I mean, isn't that amazing? The younger generation does not look to the older generation for anything. In fact, we're throwaways.
What? I mean, my grandmother is alive. And even though she can't even sometimes know I'm in the room, I'm asking questions. Do you know what year this started? What generation was the worst at this? And is there a way you see us reversing it so people can get that knowledge?
Well, I don't think I hate to say it, but with this new revolution and the way things are going on social media, it's only going to get worse. I don't see the possibility of what would turn this around to go backward. In other words, we almost got to take 2 steps back to take 1 step forward, but nobody's going to do that. Nobody's backing up. Everybody's continuously moving forward. For example, my daughter-in-law is one of the top weather personalities in Indianapolis on Wish TV. She's on billboards. She's a famous meteorologist, and she has a big following. So a couple of weeks ago, I went to visit them, and she works for a TV station that's owned by a big corporation. They own 50 TV stations around the country. And she said that a couple of weeks ago, they just fired. Now listen to this. They fired 500 marketing people that they were using for all those TV stations and replaced them with 5 AI experts to do their marketing. That was 2 weeks ago. I go, 500 people just got fired because of AI. That's crazy.
Yes. And you know what they say, the famous saying, Dr. Peter Diamandis and others are saying is, it's not that AI is going to take your job. It's that someone that knows AI, or maybe someone that knows more AI, will take your job. And that's why you guys go on LinkedIn for the free information so you don't get stuck. Now, but the good thing about you is you have had such a life where I think in your book, I read one time you were making like $25K a week. And I don't say that so everybody rushes you and starts asking you for money, because we know that's but it's in your book. So it's public knowledge, right? There's some kids now, degrees from Harvard, even myself. I'm not doing 25K a week. Not doing 25K a week. What do we need to be learning, or has that window sailed to where, that's not happening anymore? Maybe it's AI, maybe you just caught in at the right moment.
Well, the problem today is people are enamored with those big numbers. You look online now and you've got some kid that's a punk rock singer living in a mansion with lots of bling and driving a Lamborghini at 22 years old. You got a young guy. I just met a young kid recently. He had cornrows. He was probably in his late 20s. He showed me his bank account. He had $32 million in the bank. And where'd he get it? Crypto. He hit crypto at the right time. He has no value. He has no really credibility to be a successful person, except he sat there with a bunch of digits on his computer, and he's worth $32 million. And I busted my butt my whole life. I'm not worth $32 million, and I've brought value. I've got credibility. So think about that. A 32-year-old is worth $32 million that has no value, basically, except he exists. I have all this purported value. I'm not worth $32 million. Now, does that make any sense?
Doesn't make any sense, but it also doesn't, tell us maybe we missed the mark because you did 25K and, jobs are cutting people sometimes at the highest because they're saying AI. But right now, what do you think people should be studying? Because crypto is one of those things where I was doing crypto when we just called it digital currency. We were broke. We didn't have a way of doing things, and people called us criminals or whatever. But I don't see crypto as an investment. Crypto was like a plan B if you didn't have money. Or if this whole thing falls, you can go to, Kenya and say, Uhaligani, Mambo, Poe Sana, and you can still have something. But the fact that you were able to make that high earning, and I also want to say, let the people know where they should be maybe investing their money, because it's not in crypto, in my humble opinion.
Well, Let's put it this way. There is no credible way to make money. It's everything in this country now is, I call it gambling. Whether you go to the casino directly, you do online gambling, whether you are involved in crypto, and even the stock market is basically based on emotion anymore. Am I right? It's not
Yeah.
based on profit to earnings ratios. It's based on some kind of news article comes out and a stock will go skyrocketing. Hey, listen, Kellen, I remember back in the 2008 era, the big dot-com boom, when when the internet first started, people were out there creating all these websites, businesses with websites with no substance, no revenue, and people were investing in these companies. In fact, how long did it take Facebook to earn any kind of money? I don't know. Was it 10 years? It took
Yeah.
Facebook to start making money, something like that.
Something like that.
So it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you're really, no matter how much you study a stock or how much you think through something and you put your money in an investment, it's basically you're gambling. It's a total gamble today. You're just crossing your fingers. You could study all you want, and it doesn't make any sense whether you're going to make money or profit. And there's no long term, like in the day when I grew up, there was blue chip stocks. If you bought blue chip stocks like General Electric or General Motors, you would watch slow growth over time. But nowadays, it's like a roller coaster. Whatever stock you buy, whatever you invest in, it's crazy. So I can't give anybody advice. All I can say is roll the dice.
Roll the dice, you guys. You can follow the things that have been proven, because most people really aren't that educated. I don't want to call anyone not smart, but you're not educated in money. So your mutual funds, your ETFs, are things that you've seen people win. Defined benefit plan, when you're able to go to that step. And you don't know what any country is going to do. So there's no 100%, only God knows. I appreciate you not being the expert. See, that's very 2025 of you, because most people, oh well, I'm an expert in all things, right? Especially when you have wisdom on your side. I get it. You don't want to say something that if you don't know, you don't know. Because I surely don't know. Y'all know, I say it in as many languages as possible. But what you do know, networking, and deals. And George has sent me some deals and sent me some people, and talking about the lotto, thing that's going to come up. I'm going to say, go to George's site first. If George tells you he doesn't have it, I might share the lotto QR code, but George is first because he gave it to me, and there's just order and things that should happen. But how do you know a good deal, and how do you turn away a deal that you think is a bad?
Well, what's happening today, Kellen, is that people are looking more for the principles behind a deal. It's not so much, listen, when you're starting a business, you can make any projections you want, right? You can write down any kind of a business, a pitch deck. You can put in all these projections, how much money you're going to make. But is it real? So what people are looking at today to see if a company is successful are the principles that are putting the project together. No matter what your pitch deck looks like, no matter what your product or service is, no matter what your plan is, inevitably in today's world, people are looking at you, the principal. Can you make this work? Are you passionate? Do you believe in this product and service? Are you going to put 110% behind this to make it successful? So in today's world, it's all about the people behind the scenes now. It's no longer about the product or service. Again, you can have the best thing since mother's milk, but if you're not the right guy to make it happen, it's never going to get off the ground. And of course, in today's world, it's also all about marketing the product or service, right? You can have a great product and a great service, but if it's not marketed properly, it's never going to be successful. So it's all about you, your passion, your abilities, and what kind of a marketing team you have to get the word out about your product or service.
And that marketing team might be AI too. We're managing people's AI at this point.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
That again, like I said, my My daughter-in-law's corporation got rid of 500 people, the old school type people, and brought in the new AI people. So that's
Yeah.
where it's at, man.
Yeah, and that's where again you guys go on LinkedIn. If you even follow me, even if I don't follow you back, some of you, it's okay. But you can go look at the certifications that I have. They're free. They're free 99. But but with these deals of a bad deal, because sometimes if I've sent things to people and it worked for me and it didn't work for them, and maybe they didn't put what they needed to put into it. But there also are a lot of scammers out there who are everybody wants an investment. Everybody is, an inventor now, even if they have nothing that they've invented, just them themselves somehow are an inventor. How do you know a bad deal, and how do you turn away a bad deal and just say no?
Man, I'll tell you, well, like I said, you have to go down deep in the person themselves, whoever's asking you for the money or putting the deal together. Is this, again, are they passionate about it? Is there something behind it? Is there a reason that they want to sell this product or service? Or are they just trying to make money? Somebody that's just trying to make money with something is usually somebody you want to stay away from. It's somebody that really believes in what they're developing. What is their project? And that's the key. Just find something that, what's the old phrase that you're passionate about? But you got to be passionate about it, but put a good plan together and get a good team behind you. Again, don't try to do it on your own. Too many people are out there, them and their buddies are trying to promote a business, or, you got to get a good board of directors. Like, get a bunch of really expert people around you that give you advice. That's the other thing that I wish, Kellen, when I was younger, I spent more time, as we alluded to earlier, talking to older, experienced people before I made major decisions. I didn't spend enough time, and I'm guilty as charged of being one of those guys that didn't spend enough time talking to my elders, talking to experts, talking to people before I made a decision. And that's what I recommend. So before you invest your money or you decide to start a business, go talk to a lot of people, diverse people, and ask them what their opinions are, and then make your decision.
I love it. I love it. You guys, sometimes send me things. And if you're in Florida, I am a small member of Florida Funders. But I tell you guys, I don't know everything. But what I do know is if you don't understand the technology, don't get into it. Like with all these cryptos, there's a new crypto or 10 of them every day. You don't understand what the utility behind that NFT is, or there's no utility, and you just think that it sounds good. Stop falling for the okie doke. Because at some point, and George, I heard you say this in an interview, you said, financially, I'm good. I am good. And to be good, you could have made the 32 million at 32 or at 72 or 52, and you could have lost it too. Billionaires lose their fortunes all the time. So it's one thing to make the money, invest it, and save, but also keeping it. Do you have a formula for that? Like, don't invest or bet the house or anything like that?
Well, what's the old phrase? The financial planners say that you should speculate with 10% of your portfolio money. So if you want to go out there and take a flyer on crypto or some weird deal, make sure it's only about 10% of what you're investing in. The rest of it should be a safe haven of sorts, and be very meticulous and conservative in where you're putting the bulk of your money. That's about the only thing I can suggest. I mean, it's okay to take a flyer because you might hit a big crypto deal or something that just skyrockets. So that's about the only thing I can say. And then, listen, Kellen, I grew up in small town Ohio, and we were blue collar workers basically in general, and we were very frugal. I'm a minimalist. I used to have the Corvettes and the Trans Ams and the fancy suits, and I threw away all my suits, and now I only buy exactly what I need to use, that I have to use. That's it. I don't spend money on any luxuries anymore. I'm done with that. I'm done with trying to impress everybody with the car I drive or the Gucci shoes that I'm wearing or whatever. So that's another thing. Just don't spend money on frivolous things. Just get what you actually need, and don't get distracted with the fancy, bling bling.
I agree. I agree. And it's the reason why when people see me in my custom suits, usually from Africa, there's a story behind it. And even the shoes sometimes that I'm wearing, but what I paid for them versus what you think I paid for them, because like you, the Pradas, the this, the that, it means absolutely nothing, especially when you have a medical issue that, the older you get, I think, George, did you tell me that you should have like 150,000 for the year for a medical issue? I think you told me that.
Yeah, I recommend that's one piece of advice that I do give everybody. People plan for retirement, right? That's the big thing. So that when you retire, you can take trips and you can travel and live the lifestyle that you're living while you're earning money. But one thing they forget, or I'm sorry, not forget, they don't realize is that when you get to be 78 years old, that's my age, you need to have a slush fund besides all that other money of at least 150,000 bucks in the bank to pay for all your nicks, bruises, health issues, all your problems, and that's just minimum of 150,000 because insurance doesn't cover chronic disease therapy. It doesn't cover aches and pains. It covers major medical, like you have cancer and you have to go to the hospital and get radiation or something like that. Insurance will pick up a lot of that, but uh, if you don't have that other slush fund to pay for these alternative therapies, you're going to struggle, man, and you're going to be miserable as an old person like me. I just share that with everybody. Make sure
Well,
you got that money, and that's 150,000 per person.
and you have friends who are struggling. I have friends right now who have ulcers in their legs, but 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that you couldn't tell them to save a dime or listen. To see people struggling and suffering like that, how do you deal with it? Because these might be people you really love, had good times, good memories, but there's no way that you should be expected to take care of the next person's faults.
Well, the thing is that you just got to keep, when you get older, you got to keep up to date with all the latest. You have to be your own doctor. That's really what it comes down to. You don't, doctors are great. In fact, doctors saved my life back in 2020, right around the pandemic. I got double, or not double pneumonia. I got pneumonia with complications and almost died. I was in a hospital 2.5 weeks, and then I went to a rehab center for 21 days to get antibiotic drips. So doctors did save my life, but you have to be very judicious in listening to what they say. And you also always want to get second opinions. Don't ever listen to one doctor. You always want to go to some other doctor and state your case and get his opinion. At least two doctors, and it's best if you can even get three doctors to give you an opinion. So
Yeah.
that's some definite advice I can give people.
And how do you feel about the long term, suffering insurance? I call it. If you're suffering, if the insurance, are you big on those, or is that something that when you need it, insurance makes you jump through hoops?
Well, it's really tough to deal with insurance. Plus, when you get older, you have the Medicaid, and then you have the Advantage plans, which are partial insurance that covers whatever Medicaid doesn't cover. I mean Medicare. So then you got to deal with the insurance companies, and the problem is that most people have to deal with these insurance companies while they're miserable and dealing with all kinds of diseases and afflictions. For example, the big thing today now is stem cell therapy. You might hear a lot of people are looking at that for all kinds of different issues. And if you want really good stem cell therapy, you have to go offshore. You have to go to Costa Rica, Panama, or Colombia, or
Asia.
Mexico, and spend 30, 40, $50,000 to just get therapy that may work. And sometimes that's the only thing left for people to try is something like super expensive, and insurance doesn't cover any of that.
Yeah, yeah. I know somebody here, we're one of our banks is the same, and he's told me, how much, and I'm hearing him do the transactions and why, but he's happy to share with anybody in the bank. And I'm like, wow, we really got to save our money, people. I know you want to get the private jet, but I promise you, Fat Joe is now regretting the private jets that he used to get. George, what is a community give back that you're doing or that you would like to do in the future? You've had success. Everybody's successful has given something back. This is even a give back right here, and we appreciate it. But what's something that you do in the community, and maybe the community can also help you make it even larger?
Well, I'm putting together what I call leaving my legacy because what I'm trying to do is create a movement. In fact, I just started it recently, Kellen. It's called the Founders League. And what I want to do is put together the best of the best brains. And what we're doing is we're listing all of the issues and problems affecting all of our daily lives in America. And things like, the price of food, people are, the whole healthcare industry, jobs, AI, raising children, creating families, developing, your own personal portfolio, your own credibility. So we're trying to take, as I said earlier, 2 steps back so we can take 1 step forward. So I'm creating a movement to try to bring some sensibility to all this. It's called the Founders League. And if anybody's interested in joining or getting involved in it, I can explain more. I don't want to spend a lot of time here talking about it, but I am putting some things together, and we're going to be educating people on what are called key performance indicators. For example, Kellen, I've asked over 100 people recently, how do you calculate the inflation rate? And nobody knows. I ran into one guy that actually was able to explain to me how the inflation rate is calculated. And I'm talking about successful business people. I'm talking about college graduates. They don't know. They hear the inflation rate is 3% or 4%. And I ask them, well, how did they calculate that? And everybody just looks at me, gives me a dumb look, or they try to guess, but nobody knows. Isn't that amazing? People don't know how to calculate the inflation rate, which was one of the big selling points on this last presidential election. But nobody knows what it means and how it's calculated. So that's what I'm saying. There's no sensibility anymore. It's just noise. They keep saying it on the news. The inflation rate, the inflation rate, the inflation rate. How about the national debt? Does anybody know how the national debt's calculated? No.
And I remember when you told me that inside the bar, and I had to go make a very basic blog interview, and it actually sparked something where I said, and you threw me off to my next question. I was setting you up for just the facts, but that inspired me to say, can we break these things down? Just not to take away from anything George is doing, because I get your emails, I'm sharing them. And even if your ideas inspire me to say, let me write something down or make it in video, I'm sharing it either way, right? So your work, you're doing the work, but talk about just the facts, because this all lines up with just the facts.
Well, one of the mindsets I'm trying to start through this movement I call the Founders League is to teach people to use the mindset of just the facts. So now I'm actually learning how to do this myself. When I start talking to people and they start spouting off information about anything, I ask them, where did you get that information? What are the facts behind it? What are the statistics that you're saying that is true? That statement you just made, where did you get that information? And when I ask that of people, they're taken aback. They go, oh, well, I heard it on the news. I go, oh, you heard it on the news. So you're espousing that to other people. You just heard it on the news, but you have no credibility of where it came from. What's the source? But you're just sharing that with people. You're sharing it with me. It might be misinformation. It might be a half truth. And so what I'm trying to get people to do is think. Critical, logical, rational thinking is not taught in school. And we have to train our own brains to think rationally. And that's where our country is going down the tubes. We don't have a country of people thinking rationally and logically anymore.
Wow. Wow. And is it the things that we are studying? And I say that because when I was, coming up, it was go to school for something you like, something you love, something you be good at, where now I think go to school for something you can't teach yourself. A lot of what I went to school with, I could have possibly taught myself. I could not have taught myself nursing. I could not have taught myself healthcare. Like, is it the mentality of do as you want, like you were saying earlier?
Well, one of the things that I'm a professor in helping people to understand education is not important. It is training. Forget educating. Okay, my favorite story, Kellen, is, and I'll ask you, would you rather be in a foxhole in the middle of a war with a Navy SEAL who flunked out of high school or a graduate from Annapolis that got straight A's?
Hey, did the graduate have any field training? I mean, I know those guys are playing, hey, duck. But I got to go with the Navy SEAL because what he doesn't know, he's had to learn and train hard for. And that training
he knows how to handle that situation. That's the guy I want next to me. I don't want somebody that read 1,000 books. I don't care what books you read. And that's like I even tell people. Well, actually, Kellen, back in the day, my wife and I used to teach classes. We had the largest singles network in South Florida called the Find a Mate Singles Network. And from 1985 to 1992, we had 10,000 people in our network. And I used to teach a program on how to find a mate, how to find a date, and how to find a mate using your social network. And again, that was back when I developed the social networking expertise. But anyway, we used to teach people, and I used to laugh. Out of all the hundreds and hundreds of people that came to our classes, I'd say less than 1% ever used what we taught them. They listened to what we said, they shook their heads, and they used to come up to me and say, "Oh, George, that's great. I love your classes." And I ask them, "Are you doing what I said? Are you going out there every day? Are you utilizing my strategies?" And they would just sit there and look at me, and they weren't doing anything different than what they used to do, but they just came to my class and they agreed with me. That's all they did. They agreed that, "Yeah, you're right, George, that's great." But they didn't do it. So if you educate yourself is great, but if you don't implement the education, which is basically that's what training is, educating yourself and then implementing it, then that you got something that's real. You got a skill. You learned something. You learned it and you implement it. So that's my big diatribe on that whole issue.
And again, you guys, George has books out there. He is also, when we talk about being part of teams, the American Real Deal. I thought I was like, I love Shark Tank. I love Lions Den in all the countries. And I said, we have something like that right here in South Florida that more people need to get involved with. If the government is sharp, and there's so many organizations out there, they would take this idea and say, we need to put this on fire and don't try to take over, but just spread the word on Palm Beach TV, because you have Janet, who's the first Black female billionaire on there, and so many other entrepreneurs that, for her business, billionaire, because somebody will call me and say, "Oh, no, she's not the first. Her business made $1 billion first." And if you read her book, we can go, not debate. You'll just tell me I'm right, because I know these are just the facts. But can you talk about that show and even other deals that other people might be able to get on with you? Because you and I could do this all day long. I love it.
Yeah, well, I'm involved in a brand new TV show. It's a business investment TV show called America's Real Deal. And it's a real honest to goodness investing show. Shark Tank is kind of entertaining, but a lot of those deals never get consummated. They usually work with startup companies that have not really produced much revenue or really showed much success. But America's Real Deal is about companies looking for additional funding, but they have to have generated over $1 million in gross sales from last year. So they have to be revenue producing. And at this point in time, they come on to the show and they showcase what their business is all about and what funding they need. And then they have the sharks on the show can invest in their company, or the studio audience, which are accredited investors, which can invest. But the cool part about it, Kellen, is that they allow the viewing audience through a crowdfunding platform to invest in their deal. That's really cool. And then they go into a private stock exchange where people can buy and sell their stock after the fact. So this show is called americasrealdeal.com. If anybody wants to check it out, they're welcome to. And if they're looking for additional funding, if you have a business and you are producing revenue, you can get on the show and showcase your products and services, possibly get funding. And if you're an investor, you can get on the show and become a shark, just like Mark Cuban and O'Leary and all the famous sharks, Damon James and all those guys.
Oh yeah, Damon John, all the Barbara, everybody. I mean, I love them all. I'm a fan. I'm even a fan of the Lion's Den. I know a lion in Kenya, my friend, and what she has done for us even in Kenya, I'm always thankful. Now, let the people know. I know you say you don't give advice anymore, but if people said, "Hey, I need mentorship, I need coaching," do you still have a package for those who do at least want to hear you? Maybe they don't listen all the way, but they want to hear you out.
Yeah, I usually have anywhere from 1 to 3 different, I guess you call them clients a month, people that hire me to do their personal coaching, or I do coach teams at times, but I'm very selective and my time is pretty much consumed. I don't really do that unless it's a real select case where somebody really wants to use my expertise and help and experience. I will do a private coaching, or I'll coach a team of people, but I'm very selective. And in fact, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, my website is theultimatenetworker.com. That's THE Ultimate Networker, all one word.com. And I have all my information on there. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram under the name George Dubec. So people can get a hold of me. Like I said, I've written 6 books. I'm on Amazon. You can put in George Dubec on Amazon. My books will be on there. And I'm basically easy to get a hold of. I talk to everybody pretty much. I even talk to salesmen when they call me.
Gotcha. Last question for all the people who say they want to network. I've said it in the beginning. You know, kids come with me a lot of times when they were small. Now it's just about the things that they're doing and directing that type of traffic. How have you managed to be the ultimate networker with a wife? I don't think, because I haven't seen her yet, she's not always with you, but how have you navigated that? Because a lot of guys in their 20s just got married. They're like, Kellen, my wife is on me. She says I'm not making enough, but I got to go out there to make the money. I got to travel. I got to, be in the oil field. How have you managed to work that in your relationship?
Well, I was lucky, Kellen, in the fact that my wife and I, through most of the early years, we worked together. When we did the singles business, we were a team. We worked together. We did a boy-girl team teaching and so forth. And we ran singles events and we were on television together. In fact, if anybody looks up our television show on Sally Jesse Raphael, it was my wife and I. We were there at the time. And then my wife got pregnant and we sold a singles business and we got into the internet world. We got into high tech and we started a company back in the day called WebStream. And we used to do hosting. We also built websites. We did search engine optimization. But my wife is the CFO of our company, and I was the vice president. So we worked together for like 20 years in that company. So basically, I don't know what it would be like not to work with my wife. So I think in my particular case, that's what worked out really well because we worked together.
Well, in working together, you have your strong suit. She has hers. I was talking to somebody, living their dream right now. And they're like, but it's never enough. Even if it's, an exuberant amount of money, it's never enough. I said, well, you chose to get married. I mean, do you not know women?
Listen. What one of the great what do you call perspectives to review in today's world is Tom Brady and his wife. Now think about it. This guy is super good looking, famous, making, I don't know, he's a multimillionaire. He might be a billionaire as far as I'm assuming. And it wasn't enough for his wife. He wasn't around enough in her mind. And she's also worth a lot of money too, but there it goes. I mean, you cannot plead in today's world if you're not working together as a team. I don't know what that would be like. I can't imagine doing what I did and not having my wife involved in it, because by her being involved in it, she understands what we're doing. But when they're not involved in your life, they'll never understand why you're doing what you're doing. So I don't know how to advise somebody in that situation. It's tough.
And with that, George just answered your guys' question. Get your wife involved. Do life together. Again, you guys, George has his own platforms. I'm putting everything that I can below. I know the majority of you are listeners. Go over to the YouTube. So when you're down here in South Florida and you pass by the Ultimate Networker, you know who to shake hands with and get blessed. George, I appreciate you for coming on. We're going to talk after this, but you guys in the audience, I need you right now to comment. I need you to like, but most importantly, I really need you to share this game with somebody. It will change their life. Y'all, be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.